How is possible that current societies don't grow anymore, despite they can produce tons of food, meanwhile societies of the past, which were unable to satisfy their basic needs, had experienced a dramatic increase within their population? Only by studying demography one can answer these kind of questions. Demography is the science that studies human populations. Birth rates, death rates, natural increase, all these concepts inform us about how a society is. Some people might think this is a boring science, but actually it is absolutely useful to foresee how the future of a society will be, to measure how much tax pressure you can apply to workers, or even to detect current diseases that are affecting to a specific part of a population. In this video we are addressing the first part of the foundations of the discipline, namely the structure of population and the concepts we use when talking about the demography. The point number 1 and number 2. Society can be structured taking into account two concepts: biological aspects and the economic situation of the population. Regarding the first one, we are referring to age and sex. When we're talking about age, we could split society into three groups. The first one, children, those who are below 14. Secondly, adults, those who are between 14 and 64. And finally, elderly people, those who are above 65 years old. In addition of that, we can separate society through the concept of sex, namely separating men from women. In regard to the second point, the economic activity, two groups can be distinguished. Active people are those who are whether working or looking for a job, whereas inactive people are those who are apart from labor market. For instance, retired people or those under legal working age. Now we are addressing some of the main demographic concepts we will be using through this unit. The first one is birth rate, which is the number of births that take place in a population during 1 year. Secondly, death rate is the same but applied to the number of deaths. The third point is quite interesting, which is infant mortality rate. Is the number of infants that dies in 1 year and that are below 1 year old. This is quite interesting because imagine that we're addressing one society that has a low number of children, a low amount of children, Can the index of development be measured? And also the reasons that explain that phenomena? For sure. If there is a high mortality rate, we are dealing with an undeveloped country because of low medicine progress or poor nutrition. Whereas if the infant mortality rate is low, we are facing a developed country, whose main trait is, amongst others, not having children. Life expectancy, which is the fourth concept, is another interesting one. It might help us to figure out how developed a country is. Life expectancy is reflects the number of years that one person is expected to live. And finally, we are dealing with natural increase. It's the difference between the number of births and deaths. We are talking about a positive natural increase if the number of births is higher than the number of deaths, and at the very opposite, if the number of deaths is higher than the number of births, we are talking about a negative natural increase. I hope you find this video useful. Should you have any question, please don't hesitate about texting me. See you soon.